Exploring the African narrative, leading the conversation, and enlightening our listeners. Africa Business Radio, towards a profitable Africa.
Okay, welcome to Africa Now. Africa Now is a show that brings you all the trending news and current affairs, as well as business updates throughout the continent and the African diaspora. And Yes, and I see that you are the head of public affairs at the Nigerian Communications Commission.
Well, they call it Director of Public Affairs.
Okay, Director. Okay, sorry about that. I think I know exactly where your offices are. Right next
Really? You do?
right next to the famous Transcorp Hilton.
Oh, that's right. You know everything.
Well, no, and I know that I used to live in Abuja, so. And there's the petrol station, the gas station, opposite Transcorp Hilton.
The Hilton, right?
Yeah, used to be where I used to top up my car, although I never had enough money to buy a full tank.
Oh, you lived in Abuja, right?
I lived in Wuse too for a year,
Can you imagine
and
that?
I was in law school. I was in law school, Buhari, for 2 years, from 1999 to 2001.
Well, I can imagine.
Yeah, but that was the great days when Abuja, when there were only 2 or 3 people. Now Abuja is like Lagos.
I think I have 10 minutes with you, right?
Yes, you do. So now,
I'm dashing off for a meeting. Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, as the Director of Public Affairs of the Nigerian Communications Commission, obviously you will be tasked with speaking to the media a lot about the activities of the regulatory body that ensures that the likes of your MTN, Airtel, Glo, and also Etisalat, that they comply with all the rules and regulations that govern telecommunications in Nigeria.
You're right.
Okay.
You're right.
And I see that the subscriber base in Nigeria is hovering between 144 and 149 million. Is that right?
It's 161 million.
161, okay.
As of July
this year. Okay, so things are improving. Now, just give us a sense of what the main role of the Nigerian Communications Commission is.
Well, I think you know about ICASA in South Africa.
Yes,
which is
the Independent Communications Authority.
Yes, South Africa. Yeah, it's a similar role that NCC plays. So we are responsible for regulating the telecom space.
Right.
By, of course, setting standards.
Right.
Licensing of operators in the space, ensuring compliance, monitor this compliance. And then also we try to create a level playing field for all operators. So that operators can have a return on investment, at the same time providing value to consumers.
Okay.
So we want an industry that is a win-win for both the operators as well as the consumers. So what we do is to encourage investment, also where possible, mediate on behalf of the operators with other government agencies that they may have issues with.
Okay.
And then ensure that all the relevant regulatory assistances that are needed are provided by them.
Okay. Now, Mr. Ojobo, there's a thought that just came through my mind. In August 2001, when the GSM auction took place in Abuja, the GSM license auction, I believe that 2 successful bidders, MTN and Econet at the time, secured the license at the staggering figure of $285 million. And I remember that one gentleman walked out at $275 million. And he said that no GSM license is worth more than $275 million. The question I have is, why is it so expensive, or why was it so expensive to get a GSM license in Nigeria 17 years ago? Hello, Mr. Ojobo?
Yeah, that's an absolute statement. I think it is relative. There are a number of factors you need to take into consideration
Right.
when you are going into a market.
Right.
One is the demographics.
Right.
The second one is population.
Right.
And the third one is the level of economic development.
Right.
The fourth one is the opportunity that is there.
Right.
Now, you know that as of today, for instance, Nigeria is a country of about 180 million people.
That's right.
It has the largest market, telecom market in Africa.
That's right.
And then also possibly one of the largest telecom markets in the world.
Right.
Looking at the population.
Right.
So when you look at the market share that will be available for the operator, I wouldn't think that is expensive. Of course, before that time, we have had some spectrum auctions in some parts of the world.
Right.
You were aware of the spectrum auction in London, that the operators were to pay as much as, I think then it was about $1 billion or something like that.
Right.
You also had some auctions that were supposed to even take place in South Africa that ended up in the court.
Right.
So what the regulator does, the regulator doesn't determine how much is paid. But what the regulator does, he sets a baseline,
right,
on which operators now begin to negotiate how much they're going to pay.
Right.
Now, as at that time, I think the base price was $100 million.
Right.
But the operators now began to bid until we finally got to $285 million.
Almost like a car auction where some people don't want you to buy the car and they bid up.
And bidders were, as they were bidding, they had at the back of their mind the size of the market and also the return on investment opportunity that they have.
Right.
So those are the considerations that that the people have at the time they are bidding.
Right.
And of course, today MTN is the operations in Nigeria incidentally happens to be their biggest operation anywhere in the world.
Right.
They have a subscriber base of about 39.5 or 6 million or thereabouts.
Right.
The next operator to them is having about 27 million. So really, if you're looking at an organization like MTN, for instance, which is a South African company,
right,
you can say that the Nigerian operation has really helped in strengthening the market position of MTN as a global telecom service provider.
Right.
And so you can see that it wasn't really a bad investment after all. Paying that to $85 million for that license.
Okay.
Vis-a-vis, what is the return on investment?
Okay. But Mr. Ojobo, how do you respond to those who then say that maybe as a result, the bidders were the ones who pushed it up, but then there are those consumers who had to, if you recall then, a SIM card was about 20,000 naira. You still had to buy the phone. And then when they started, it was 50 naira per minute. And then later when Glo came on stream, Glo introduced call per second, then MTN had to follow. So these costs were naturally then transferred. Yes, you said that the market opportunity, the size, but initial costs, I'm not talking about today, where MTN SIM cards is very cheap. In fact, SIM cards now, people give it to you as a gift. But at that time, 20,000 naira was the minimum that you could pay, which is about 1,000 naira at the time. 1,000 rand at the time. How do you respond to those who said, look, the reason why these guys had to charge more, because that was only for the license fee. They still had to set up infrastructure. They had to pay salaries. They had to pay for offices and so on and so forth. How do you respond to that?
Well, the thing is this. I mean, in every liberalized market, what you have is what was set was what they call a price cap. It was a price cap regime, which we still have today. The price cap was put at 50 naira.
Yes.
And so you had a window within which to operate as long as you would not go beyond 50 naira. And that price cap still is there today. Whereas services are being provided today at maybe 6 naira per minute for some operators, and for some. So that was an entry
price,
market entry strategy.
Right.
That yes, the price cap was at 50 and we're going to provide service at 50. But of course, it began to come down to the point where people are now paying 6 naira per minute.
Okay.
So, it's usually the way the entry price for products usually is always higher.
Okay.
And as time goes on, the prices begin to come down.
Okay.
Because of issues of economy of scale.
Right.
And because the more subscribers that you have on your network, the lower the cost.
Absolutely. It's a volume business. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, okay. Now, Mr. Ojobo, another thing that one cannot help but notice when you arrive in Nigeria, at any airports, if anywhere you go, you find people, and I think it's unique to Nigeria. Well, in some other African countries, maybe less so. You see Nigerians carrying 2 or 3 cell phones for various operators. And when you ask them, why are you carrying all these phones around? They say because they don't want to miss any call. Because sometimes, they could be on a call and the calls drop.
Well, I think that was at the initial stage because of... Nigeria is a big country with about 900,000 square kilometers.
Absolutely. Almost 1 million square kilometers, yes.
So that is a huge. And at the time that service providers started, they couldn't roll out services nationwide at the same time.
Right.
So you had different marketing strategy or entry strategy.
Right.
Market entry strategy by the different operators. Some of them started in Lagos and then chose different cities where they were going to go roll out. So
they concentrated in the big cities.
Port Harcourt,
right,
Abuja,
Kano and so on. Right.
So MTN probably will start in Lagos. Another operator will probably start in Port Harcourt. Another one in Enugu and all of that. So they began to choose cities. So at that time, if you're in Lagos and maybe you go to a particular place where your choice provider don't have pervasive service.
Yes.
You may want to get the service provider that is there.
Okay.
You will notice that at the start, Econet then started in Lagos.
Yes.
So a lot of people who really subscribe to mobile services there, a good number of them were on Econet.
Right.
Which is Airtel today, and which actually a lot of people in Lagos are still on Airtel.
Okay.
And a lot are also on MTN. So,
okay, so that's Airtel that was...
consumer choice.
Right.
But today, for instance, I have 2 phones, but the other one I rarely use it.
Oh, so you are also carrying 2 phones?
Yeah, I mean...
In 21st century.
I just have one of my phones. I don't have any other one.
Okay.
And it's MTN. I've used this MTN number for 17 years.
Okay. So you are using the MTN... You are using an MTN line.
Yeah, but of course I'm not marketing MTN, by the way.
Okay.
I'm just talking about
the reason why I asked
MTN will be happy to hear that.
No, the reason why I asked you that question, Mr. Ojobo, is that it leads me to the other question. You are the regulator who fined MTN $5 billion, but you're a beneficiary of the service of MTN. Isn't that an irony? What if are you not scared that they might cut you off?
Well, you know what? The thing is this. I think I've been on this line for everyone that knows me on this number.
Okay.
I mean, for as long as there has been mobile service in Nigeria, this is the number.
So it's almost like your signature.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Maybe I could change my mind a long time. But,
I think if MTN were to ask me for advice, I might say maybe you should accidentally cut Mr. Ojobo off for a day or 2, make him lose a lot of money. But on a more serious note, yes. MTN, yes, we know the story of MTN. In fact, when we talk about South African businesses who have succeeded in Nigeria in the last 20 years or so, they talk about DSTV, they talk about MTN. Less so SAA, because SAA is not a private business like MTN is. But I think just for us to clarify certain things, because people get the figures mixed. I recall that the fine that was imposed by your company, or your organization rather, on October 26, 2015, was to the tune of $5.2 billion. And it was for an infraction, a security infraction, where you had asked MTN to discontinue about 5 million lines or so. And then you actually, the penalty which they knew about was, I suspect, about $1,000 per SIM card or somewhere there. Are those the figures?
Yes, they were, yes.
$1,000 per SIM card, 5 million or 5.1 million.
But I need to make some clarification here. You see, what the regulator does, when you fix fines, the idea is that you're not expecting that anyone should violate it. So
it's just like a deterrent. A deterrent.
As a deterrent.
Right.
This incentive for anyone to.
Right.
As a matter of fact, even for some of us at NCC, we're really shocked that any operator would want to.
We'll push the envelope.
But I think we have actually put that behind us.
Yes. No, the reason why I asked Mr. Ojobo is.
All the service providers have learned from.
Yes. No, the reason why I ask is because. Yeah. For South Africans, because MTN is a South African company,
yes, they
still don't understand those figures and how you arrived at the figure, and so it's always important because
I think the service provider would understand how we arrived at those figures.
Yeah, but it's a psychological thing because what happens is there's a sense.
We had a consultation.
Yes, I agree.
With the industry stakeholders.
Yes.
And when the document was developed,
yes,
the regulations in terms of SIM card registration,
yes,
and there were quite clear provisions in that regulation,
yes,
and there was a presentation to the industry,
absolutely,
and all the stakeholders signed to it, and I agree that yes, in order to stem the tide of people using pre-registered SIM cards and unregistered SIMs because of the security situation.
Yeah, the terrorism situation. Yes.
But look, we are going to impose a very, very exorbitant fine so that there will be no incentive or motivation for any of the operators to violate that. All right? And all the stakeholders agreed, yes, that was the way to go, and signed into it. And so, and of course, it was put on our website for comments. Everyone was supposed to comment on it. And, in the end, it was agreed by the industry.
Yes, I also wanted to add this to the point you're making that even prior to the October 26, 2015 fine,
yes,
all the other operators had been fined severally and they had paid.
Yes,
all the other guys, Glow,
yes,
Airtel, and so on, they had paid, although the fine was smaller.
The difference in this case is because of the number.
Yes, the figure
involved on MTN network.
Yes,
if it was like 50 or 100, I mean, of course, the fine wouldn't have been that much. You understand?
Absolutely.
So it is because of the number of subscribers that
right.
got raised the fine.
Okay, but the good thing is that you then climbed down. Well, later on, you climbed down and gave them a reprieve of about 70%, isn't it? Discount.
The what? The what?
You gave them a discount of about. You gave them a forgiveness discount.
That's right.
Of about 70%. So all they had to pay was about $1.3 billion or so.
That's right.
And then they paid the renewal of the license because the license then expired or came due for renewal.
Right.
And they paid about $98 million, even before the resolution of the $5 billion matter, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Right.
The reason why I'm saying this is also I use MTN, but unlike you, I'm using a prepaid MTN, and I've been using it since 2001 when I came to South Africa.
17 years.
Yes, same time, and I bought a SIM card for 20,000 naira in Abuja, in Wusetu. But when I moved to South Africa, it was no longer fashionable for me to be swapping SIM cards, so I gave it up.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm exactly like you, same WhatsApp group. I had the MTN SIM card in Nigeria, came here and also bought an MTN SIM card. So everywhere I go, as the MTN tagline is, I get an MTN SIM card. But in closing, Mr. Ojobo, you are a regulator. You are a regulator in Nigeria.
Yes.
There's some people who are saying, and this is what the South African media that I've read, and I'm part of South African media, they're saying that in their view, there's a witch hunt against MTN in Nigeria. Do you share that view?
No. As a telecom regulator, I would say no. There is no witch hunt. And that was actually underscored today by the statement made by the group CEO of MTN.
Rob Shooter.
MTN has an excellent relationship with the telecom regulator in Nigeria.
Right.
This particular issue has to do with the central bank.
Yes, it's nothing to do with you guys, I know.
And federal
Inland Revenue Service, right.
However, NCC is doing all it can to mediate on the matter.
Yeah, because you guys have a better experience.
And I want to use this platform to reach out to the South African audience.
Right.
So there is no, MTN is not being targeted at all.
Right.
NCC had given a number of incentives to the MTN, including recently the spectrum, 800 megahertz spectrum, which originally they got from Nigerian Broadcasting Commission, which is actually a radio regulator.
Yeah, NBC.
But that frequency was given now to NCC. NCC still now gave it to MTN without paying anything to NCC.
What's the value of that, if you had to quantify that in dollar terms?
If you had to, those were the spectrum that were auctioned in 2001. That's the GSM spectrum.
Okay.
That's the spectrum you use for broadband services.
Okay.
And all the other value-added services.
That was sold for, that was put at about $100 million minimum.
Yeah, because even when other industry operators were against that being, they were of the view that it should be auctioned. But NCC figured out that, look, MTN had paid for this to NBC, even though NBC is another regulator.
Yes.
But of course, NCC considered that spectrum to MTN to roll out. Right. MTN is the biggest operator in Nigeria today.
Okay.
It has about 39 million subscribers.
Okay.
And that is the biggest of their networks. There are also other South African companies. ShopRite is doing good business in Nigeria.
Yeah, with about 25 stores now.
Oh yeah, sure. And they are doing pretty well. So it is not really about anyone being targeted. I think probably maybe an issue of misunderstanding with regulators in certain other areas. But I believe these issues are being resolved.
Right.
South African companies are doing very well. I don't know how well Nigerian firms are doing in South Africa, but I can say that South African business.
Dangote is doing well here with Sepaku Cement, 20% market share.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
So really, I just want to use this platform to say that as the industry regulator, NCC ensures that the operators enjoy a level playing field.
Right.
And whatever NCC can do, even under this circumstance, to ensure that due process is followed and the right things are done.
So you guys are going to act as a midwife in the in the whole process for them, because we see the headlines today in South African media again. MTN Nigeria takes they didn't use CBN, goes to court in Nigeria.
Of course, the court acts as an ombudsman. The court is there to protect
absolutely
and the weak. So. I think that that's a decision that most organizations will take when they think that
there's an unfair situation for them. Yes.
So I believe that is the decision. So it's now left for the courts to decide.
Right.
They might even opt to go for arbitration.
Absolutely.
But I believe that ultimately, these are all the things that help to strengthen markets.
Absolutely.
It happens all around the world. I mean, usually businesses do have issues,
right.
Even in developed countries. They have issues with inland revenue services. They have issues with regulating. But of course, the courts are there as the third arm of government to look at issues.
And the facts will speak for themselves.
Based on the facts. You know, the courts are not sentimental. They're based on the facts. However, if I know that there's provision for arbitration in the licenses of the operators. If they opt for arbitration, probably that could also be another way to go. But I know that certainly, MTN will emerge maybe stronger after all of these issues.
Okay, and finally, while I have you, Etisalat, are they out of the woods? Etisalat.
You know, this guy, you have all the information. You seem to look. You must engage me as a consultant. Because
are they out of the woods?
You guys will have to engage me as a consultant to be giving you information on the market.
No, but this is very important because Etisalat has about 22 million subscribers, and like Glow, they're the ones who are flying the Nigerian flag, as you know. So,
we regard all of them as Nigerian companies. You see, the point is this: you call it MTN Nigeria, right?
Yes, you do.
So.
Yes.
So I believe that having registered in Nigeria as an entity that is operating in Nigeria, we don't discriminate really. This is a Nigerian company or this is a South African company.
Okay.
After all, Nigerians are working in MTN Nigeria, isn't it?
Absolutely. And we're all Africans, so we have to embrace one another, regardless of nationality. But is Etisalat now out of the woods? Are they out of the woods?
Well, I'm not a spokesman for Etisalat.
But as a regulator, are you happy with them?
I would assume that I think they're out of the woods. Yeah.
Okay. That's good news because we always worry when big companies fall. We especially.
I think I have to.
Thank you.
We have to meet someday in your about.
Yes, absolutely. Well, thank you very much,
all right.
Mr. Ojobo, Tonny Ojobo, Director Public Affairs for Nigerian Communications Commission, and they regulate all the telcos in Nigeria, including the almighty MTN. Thank you for coming to Africa Now.
All right, my brother. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Look forward to talking to you again in the future. Have a safe trip back. Enjoy Durban.
Yes,
thank you.
Yeah.
Chebonga. Thank you.
Africa Business Radio is now available on Google Play Store and Apple App Store. Take us everywhere. Download the app for easy access to our informative content. Africa Business Radio, towards a profitable Africa.